Welcome, movie fans. Thanks for joining us for episode 120 of Reading Between the Reels, the premiere podcast of rebirthing Batman from his nipply grave. If you're a new listener, we're so glad you found us. If you've been enjoying the show, please like, follow, and subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. If it's not 5 stars, don't bother. Just kidding. You can also support the show by posting on your socials and joining our Facebook group. I'm joined here by Craig Dickinson and Corey Heitschmidt. How you guys doing?
Good, Justin.
Absolutely.
How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. What have we watched this last week? What have you guys been binging?
Craig, I'll let you go first.
All right. I rewatched a couple of things that I hadn't seen in a while, and I had been meaning to rewatch Saving Private Ryan, and so I did. I think I mentioned this to Justin. I had only seen it once. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and it's freaking great. I love it. I mean, it's Spielberg. What more can you say? It's fantastic. I love it. And
it's a heavy watch. That's a heavy watch.
It is a heavy watch. I didn't watch it all at once. I took it in chunks, and I think that's a good way to go. I mean, it's long, too. It's almost 3 hours. And then, Corey, you'll like this. I rewatched The Accountant.
Oh, yes.
I know you thoroughly enjoy that movie. I mean, the second one just came out, which I'm kind of excited to see now. I'd only seen that the one time, too, and that's a good flick. That's kind of a non-traditional hero, neurodivergent, with the autism and whatnot. But, we always love the Ben Affleck on this show. And
I'll tell you what, I love it because it shows that he's quite the action hero, as people may be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
My good friend is an accountant, and he invited me to watch The Accountant with him. I don't know if he likes that movie in order to justify his job. I don't know what the deal is there, but it was
repressed emotions.
Must be.
Corey, what about you? What have you been watching?
My wife and I started Reacher season 2, and we just got back into it. I
like that show.
I like it, except my wife made the comment at the beginning of the first episode, about 20 minutes in. She goes, "Does he really have Steven Seagal vibes to you?" And almost had to turn it off at that point. I was like, wait a minute. The way he kind of goes through his little what I'm thinking and seeing and my detective skills right here, like he just launches into a 30-second, well, I know this and I know that and I know this and I know that. It kind of is Steven Seagal vibes. So I didn't think it till she said it, and she almost ruined it for me. But then we were like, okay, no, we got back to him. And I think Alan, or I think what's his name? Dang it.
Alan Ritchson.
Alan Ritchson. He would be an incredible Batman. Absolutely an incredible Batman.
I agree.
He definitely has the physical, characteristic part of it. He's huge. Justin, it's true.
I hate that show. The dialogue sounds like it comes from a dollar store novel or a romance novel from, I don't know. It's just, it sounds.
I like it.
It's bad. It's cheesy. The
first
lines
season
are
was
bad.
the best one, but it's
the first season is the one I couldn't get through. It was gross.
No.
The main character, what's his face?
Jack Reacher.
That's the name of the movie. He's good at everything, and he's this pure, innocent, knows everything, and ultra smart and strong and fast, and just I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you like, Justin? What have you been watching that you like? Say something positive.
Oh, well, don't paint me as the negative guy. I've been watching Andor.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And
catching up on that.
I will tell you what. I know there's been some controversy on the internet because that's what the internet is for. But my hope in Star Wars is restored. I have been overly happy with Andor. It's just, it's well done. The acting is top notch. The cinematography is just so good, especially coming from Acolyte, which was really bad, and it hurt my bones. But then I watched this, and it's just, it's good again. You got deep character development and character arcs, and Cassian is just a fantastic addition to the Star Wars universe. And I know we already had him in Rogue One, but they flesh him out way more. obviously. And you get a lot more of like behind the scenes with Mon Mothma, which is great. And you have Krennic back from Rogue One. I freaking love Krennic. That guy is such a good villain. It's good. I'm only like 3 episodes in, but I've been very happy.
This is season 2.
How's that for positivity? Yeah, season 2.
Yeah. I finished it as of this recording. It's done, so I won't spoil anything for you. Although,
do you think it stayed solid through the whole season, Craig, or has he just got the first couple episode vibes?
It ebbs and flows. There are certain moments that are great, and certain moments I was like, okay, this didn't need to be in there. I mean, it's a really interesting structure where they have 3 episodes for 4 consecutive weeks, and there's those take a year, and then they jump another year between each of them. So that's kind of a cool way to do it. I will say, and I like what you said, Justin, about like your faith is restored, but I kind of look at it in terms of like, this is going to sound weird at first, but like Deadpool and Wolverine, like, was fantastic, but that doesn't save the MCU. That's a one-off. Like, where do you go from there? Like, this is great, but there's no way to build off of this, if that makes sense.
Well,
like,
but
the template is there.
It gives me hope that like there is more in that universe to explore, because I feel like the last couple have just been duds. Skeleton Crew, Acolyte. I feel like there's like 2 or 3 more that I've forgotten. The Boba Fett one.
Yeah, just
Obi-Wan had its parts. I know we disagree on that, but like, yeah, just overall, I feel like it's been more misses than hits. Yeah, and it's just nice to see a win again, because I like the franchise and I want it to do well.
I think that's Disney's fault. I think they're
I mean, it's a gross oversimplification to say this, but Andor is better because they filmed some of it outside.
No
instead
CGI
of
sunsets.
Instead of continually in the volume like all those other shows that we mentioned. Like it because of that, it looks more cinematic, which Star Wars is supposed to be a film franchise, not a multimedia franchise, in my humble opinion. It works better on the big screen. Like having grown up, with the OT, you gotta wait 3 years for a movie. It's an event. This weekly, very low risk, low stakes, low budget stuff. Just, hard pass.
I don't know if that's all of it though, because Mandalorian, I mean, there was a pretty big budget there, and it was really good to start out with, and you can tell like they chose the locations with care, but it still very much tapered off and got really convoluted and bad.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm just an odd one out, I guess.
Well, I mean, I like The Mandalorian when it started too. Like, it definitely decreased in quality dramatically, but like Tony Gilroy as a filmmaker is a much more seasoned filmmaker and a much more serious filmmaker. I mean, I like Jon Favreau's work too, but you're looking at some of these other people. They're TV show runners essentially, or people that came from the MCU. Like, they don't have the they don't have the resume that Tony Gilroy does. So I think you like the adult is in the room making this. I think that's a big part of it.
I think part of the thing that rubs things off of like The Mandalorian when it just doesn't work is when they brought in Jack Black and some of those side characters. They try to just go for kicks and go for laughs with big names. They didn't go back to the original storytelling they had in the first season where we built this whole, this religion of the Mandalorians and everything. And we were proceeding towards the big creature underneath the water, and we were doing all that, but it's like we were having these little side shoots because we were trying to make it, we were dragging out the season. And so we had to have a little side adventure over here with Jack Black, which was stupid, and then come back. And anyway.
I also think you almost paint yourself into a corner by having your main character be like a mysterious character, because if you're selling the mysterious point, any characterization or any character development is going to take away from the mystery and will ultimately, like, I guess, reduce the initial appeal.
Yeah.
If you want that character to grow. And I feel like that's kind of what happened with Boba Fett as well.
Yes.
The more you got to know him, the more you're like, I kind of liked...
It's less interesting that way.
Having my own backstory.
Yeah.
Now, this might sound like a giant rabbit trail, but actually, now the more I'm thinking about this actually does fit quite well with what we're talking about tonight, because we are going from 1997's Batman and Robin, which, again,
nipples,
weird guest stars, nipples on the costumes, stunt casting, to a serious take on the character with Batman Begins, which is what we're talking about tonight. So the Christopher Nolan's the adult in the room in this case, and having only done 2 big films, had Memento and Insomnia. Going into this, Warner Brothers gives him the keys to this massive franchise, and then this film comes out. So, guys, I want to start with just overall thoughts on Batman Begins. Justin, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so I've watched this movie 1,000 times. Like I'm sure many people, millennials and Gen Xers have, because it's a fantastic movie. But it's what struck me this time, kind of like watching it in sequence of Nolan's movies, is it is kind of crazy that he had previously directed, 2 films, and they're not like huge budget films. You don't have huge set pieces or anything like that. And then, like you said, he was given the keys to the kingdom with this character, like one of the biggest characters of all time. And that's like a huge responsibility to go from Insomnia, Memento, and then, not in that order, Memento, Insomnia, then this. That's huge. And my goodness, the man pulls it off. It's not without its flaws overall, but they're few and far between. Overall, like, it is a solid movie. We talked about Raiders of the Lost Ark when we watched that movie. Like, we were surprised how much fit into that movie, and like for roughly an hour and a half film, it's like how do they get so much in there? I feel the same about Batman Begins. There's a lot in there. Like, you get a lot of characters, you get a lot of character development, you get an origin story, and the pacing is just really, really good. The acting is really good. Like, Christopher Nolan nails the cinematography like he always does. And it's a much more grounded take on Batman that I love. I love grounded movies. The more down to earth you can get it, the better. And I think this movie might have kind of spawned almost like a little mini revolution in film. Like, you get a couple movies after this, like Casino Royale, the 2012 Spider-Man, and then much later Logan. But you get these like more down to earth stories and less comic booky, more real world. And it was kind of a swing because previous Batman movies were not this grounded. In fact, the original Adam West films, those were completely wacky, and it freaking nails it. Like, we've done good comic book movies before, but not movies that are like cinematically good, I would say. Not in the way that this is, I guess.
Corey,
I guess I'm just digesting what Justin said. And your last quote, I think, really stuck with me. It was cinematically good and better. I think I might even say cinematically, this is a better movie than Michael Keaton's Batman. I'm going to throw that up there. I don't think Batman as a character in this movie, Christian Bale as a Batman, is better than Batfleck. There, I said it. I had to get it out there. I don't. But here's the thing.
I think we should get into that much later. Like, I want to discuss that in depth. I don't disagree.
I'll discuss it. I've done notes on this. Here we go. But here's the thing about this. I watched this, and this one, I think I watched it in theaters. I can't remember, but I don't like the idea of a superhero movie that's grounded in reality too much. Like, I need to believe in a little bit of more supernatural. And this movie grounds thing. It takes away the mythic aspect and goes towards the reality part where where Batman is. He's grounded in trauma and everything that he's experienced in his life. We're not just focusing on gadgets. We're focusing on him and developing who he is as a person and internal and his struggles and all the metaphors that we're throwing throughout this whole movie. But I think this movie as a whole does so much in terms of making themes go throughout the whole movie and keeps them. The number one thing that I think he does throughout the whole thing is in his flashbacks and everything, he keeps bringing back this fear and vengeance and justice and fear and vengeance and justice. And you get these words repeated over and over and over, even through their backstory, through the current story, even to the end, you get those same words. And I think Nolan has a lot of payoffs with that, right? That you don't get in some movies. Some movies you just see the character develop and go on. But this really writes those in there. Until the end, you find out this is more going from fear to hope, right? In the beginning, Bruce Wayne's all about fear and trying vengeance, which is Ra's al Ghul was about vengeance. And yet Batman comes in with his moral imperative and says, no, it's not right. I'm not going to kill. And I'm going to just go. And then he becomes this symbol, becomes this hopeful character on the end. So I think it's great. The one thing I got to say, Craig, beyond that glacier came back. I told you that last time. The first thing I saw with that glacier, I said, that's the same glacier from Insomnia. That's the same glacier that was in Interstellar.
Okay, it is the same one in Interstellar, but not in Insomnia. That's a different place.
So I wasn't here for last episode.
Yeah.
But that was something I wanted to say. That Christopher Nolan loves these glaciers.
Yeah, I mean, that glacier, I believe that one's in Alaska, but the other one is the one in Interstellar. It's the same one in Interstellar.
It looks very similar.
They have that dirt top.
Because I had that a little bit later. We'll talk more about that. But yeah, he loves that, and he does. I mean, okay, so for anybody that lived through Batman and Robin in 1997...
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I really wanted to like that movie, and it's trash. This is what I would say. First off, this is the most necessary superhero reboot ever, because the franchise was dead. And so I love what you said, Corey, about kind of wanting that less grounded, more kind of supernatural, fantastical vibes. But I think that this, things are in a pendulum, right? That movie leaned so hard, Batman and Robin, leaned so hard into the wacky and the comic booky and the toyetic thing. This one had to go the other way. They had to get, the gravitas in it. It had the verisimilitude. It had to feel real. It feels like a Bond movie, absolutely, from the beginning. It had to do that. The flip side of that is, and this is a thing that I've struggled with, and I had this later, but I'll put it here as well, is it's kind of a double-edged sword for Warner Brothers. Because Nolan is so hard and fast, there are no other superheroes in this universe. Even to the fact that, traditionally, they're at the movies, when his parents died, they're at the movies, they're at a Zorro movie. He changed it from that, so he doesn't even have that as an influence. It's completely organic. It totally comes from him. But because he's done that, we even have, 2006, the next year we have Superman Returns, and they don't exist in the same universe.
Yeah.
So we have this thing nope, there is no, therefore this Batman, who's fantastic and everybody loves, can't be part of a Justice League. You can have him, have him perfect over here in this corner, but he can't, he doesn't play nice with others. So it's both. It's just double. It's $1 billion franchise. But it's not. It can't be a launching point for the Justice League, and that is frustrating to me on so many levels.
I think you're right, because that's what Nolan brought into this. This wasn't about even some of the gadgets he does are realistic like gadgets. They're not overly over the top. Well, that's not believable gadget. That he could just whip up do all these magical things with these gadgets. This movie's grounded in realism and dialogue and character arcs, and I think that shows his pacing. And I think the deeper psychological stuff that Nolan has done in Memento, and then he did in Insomnia, he's still doing here, where we're getting this whole arc of contrasting good, bad, all these psychological aspects of him, and that we're on this journey, which is not distracted by supernatural events. We're focused only on the realism that he can bring with realistic type gadgets.
I also appreciate that the parts of Batman in the comics that are supernatural. So we're not there yet, but Bane, for example, he's got the venom that gives him the strength, and then you have Ra's al Ghul, who is more or less immortal. He has that Lazarus pit that brings him back to life. And they don't completely rule out that is the case, that he's not immortal. Like, they never say in the old versions of the League of Assassins who the leader was. Like, was it Descartes? Was it Ra's al Ghul? Was it someone else? Was it a predecessor? But they don't say it was him, but they also they don't say it wasn't him. So they don't break like the comic book canon, but they don't introduce anything mystical either. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. Like, they remove all of it and just kind of leave it a believable gray area. And I love that. It's so good because it keeps both crowds happy.
Cool. Well, let's dig into it. Let's talk about the cinematography. First off, nominated for the Academy Award for Best Cinematography. Did not win, but was nominated. What are some great things that we saw? Composition, color, camera work, guys.
Okay. I'm gonna steal this one first. My memory of this movie is that it's very, very dark, which it is. But in watching it this time, I was like aware of just how brown the movie is. There is just brown everywhere, almost in the same way that like the Matrix is green everywhere. Mm-hmm. This is brown. Like, the city of Gotham just feels, it's shades of mud brown and rust and like dirt, and it just feels gross. Like, at no point when you're in the city of Gotham do you feel comfortable or clean, I guess. Like, the color palette that Nolan uses makes you not want to be there. Like, in almost every shot, you're like, this place is gross. It's very much the, show don't tell thing.
Very industrial.
Yeah. And you get a couple of reprieves from that, like when you go to Wayne Manor or you go to where's the other one? There's a couple places where like it's obviously showing off the decadence of the upper class. Oh, it was the boardroom, where everything there feels very clean for those people. You almost have like these gods up in Olympia, like looking down on the city while everyone else is dying and.
Good point.
It's not going well for him. And you see that a lot when Batman is kind of right before he interacts with Scarecrow for the first time, where he is down in the boroughs where the poor people live, and there's like domestic abuse, and it's raining, and there's like tin roofs everywhere, and it just feels icky. And I guess the contrast between those two things are, I think, in a way, like showing what Batman is trying to like bring together. Like, there's no middle class, I guess. It's rich or poor.
Yeah, we don't see that, do we?
Like, maybe Commissioner Gordon is like the closest thing to middle class we see in Gotham, but you can tell that his life is strained. He's a stressed dude.
Yeah, Corey, go ahead.
I was thinking a couple things that I was noticing this time was I look at the glacier as the brightest moments, like when things were the blues and the hues with the glacier in that area, the blue on the flower. And so in my mind, I felt like that was kind of his internal struggle. Like, they tried to set this up. I felt like, I don't know if they did it camera-wise and emotional-wise. The blue of the glacier and everything made me feel like this is his internal struggle. Everything was dialogue towards who he was as a person. Your father was weak. Don't be weak. Who are you? You need to, like, he was just getting all this Obi-Wan Kenobi wisdom thrown at him, right? Like Liam Neeson. Qui-Gon wisdom.
We want to get
thrown at him. So it was all internal struggle and internal and everything, and the coloring was. But then he goes to Gotham, and everything was shadowed in Gotham, I felt like. Like, whenever you saw a scene with Batman, there were always shadows. Even when him sleeping on his bed and doing things, half his face was always in a shadow. Or there was always a shadow in the room that was somehow, like, just kind of an overlong shadow from, like, look at my room. Like, you just have a couple shadows, but they were a lot, in the movie, they were, like, all over. And so I felt like it was just showing him as the shadowy character, like the ninja stealth that he was becoming. maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I felt like, and just noticing those as almost a character, especially with with Ra's al Ghul. He was always in shadows. He always had shadows behind him, shadows around him. But Batman, it was the Dark Knight. He's the ninja. He's hiding. He's got to play with that part, and he's still that character, like trained by Ra's al Ghul. So ninja like. Am I wrong?
All good things. No, I love it. I have so much, so I'm gonna just try and build off what you guys have done. But I have to start with the first shot of the swarm of bats flying through, and then just they pause ever so slightly so you can see the bat symbol in the middle, and which is just a beautiful shot, and it's so subtle. And originally I wrote that it looked like it was at sunset, not a CGI sunset, but actually what I think, it's probably sunrise, right? It's got to be the beginning of that, because this is an origin story, and that's just a brilliant way to show that.
I wonder if the other two movies build off that at all.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking for that for sure.
Yeah.
Just some other things, just kind of like one-off things. Like you mentioned, like the glacier, and like there's so many wide establishing shots that like we did not get. That's the one thing that definitely, like, the visual language of Batman movies completely changed here, because they were like on a set, matte paintings just weren't outside, like we were talking about with the Star Wars stuff. Like just seeing those massive buildings or landscapes, those kind of things, really grounded this movie immediately. Batman's outside in nature. Look at this. We've never seen that. It's like he's only in Gotham City. That's all we'd ever seen before, which was groundbreaking at the time. Just some other things. I want to talk about. Love what you said about the color, Corey. I had a lot of that stuff too. I did say Arkham Asylum is kind of yellow, like a sickly yellow inside, especially with those fluorescent lights. Like something's poison in there, something's rotten from the core there. One thing that a lot of people, I think, had issue with, that I think is very intentional, is we don't get to see the fights very much the way that we do in, like, say, Batman v Superman. I know, and even in Keaton's Batman movies, where we get to see like the full shot and get to see all of the choreography. With this, it's a lot of like mid to American shots, lots of quick cuts. And I don't think that's because, and some of it might be, hey, this is my third movie, I don't necessarily know how to stage this. But also, like, this is a lot more about what you don't see. I think there's a lot of intentionality behind, we're getting kind of the perspective of the criminals. Like, Batman's in and out, we don't really know what's going on. I think that's absolutely the way that's supposed to be. I see Justin shaking his head. He's agreeing with me.
Yeah, sorry, you stole it from. I think that's 100% it, especially when, like, you're first introduced to
on the docks, right?
The Batman on the docks. Like, he is acting like a predator there, right? He's not acting like a superhero. He's not Superman. He's not a symbol of hope. He's freaking fear. And they like lean into that. Those guys are scared. Like, fear is Batman's superpower, right? Yeah. Like,
yes.
You
rich.
make somebody scared, and they are going to make mistakes, and they're going to like cause issues or create issues. And as the audience, you feel that. Like, you don't know what the heck is going on. Like, at one point, you're like, can this guy freaking fly? Like, why is he just coming down and then going back up and then zooming across the room? You're just as lost as those. As
he even
villains
cuts
are.
away
I think
from
it's all
the fight.
Very.
Yeah,
What's that?
He
those
cuts
shots
away from the fight to show people's reactions to the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the part. See, you take a look at what he did on the docks. They built that up, especially when the line was so bad. I fear bats. It's time my enemies shared my dread. Which I was like, okay,
no, that's
terrible.
But
my point was
ripped from the comics, though.
He pushed that fear, and he did all that, and you saw that early on. And that's my one complaint towards the end a little bit, was with those shots, we didn't get that anymore. And a part of that is it's Ra's al Ghul and these ninjas, and they're ready to fight. So they don't fear him. They just know he's one of them. But like exactly what you said, Craig, I wrote it on here. His fights with Ra's al Ghul and those pawns was all too tight. It was super close up. I never had full, huge choreography shots. There was a lot of cutaways in it with the camera. And I feel like you do that either because you want to try and make it a lot of close-up action so the audience feels like they're right there. Or maybe you don't have the actors who can quite pull off the hand-to-hand combat and still look that part. And this Batman movie to be this Batman character, we're not ready to fully embrace, without offending anybody, a warehouse style bat flick combat, right? Because that was gritty.
I thought we were going to get through a whole episode without
No,
that.
I'm not.
I was
because here's
trying.
why. That was so gritty and so dark, and I feel like that moment where he's fighting 4 guys for Ra's al Ghul, that's his big fight scene. Like, would have been warehouse level, throwing a guy into the wall, like doing stuff. And I don't think I get that with Christian Bale that you got in that scene where you were back a lot and you saw Batman just full on combat going at it. This, we're real close and it's tight with this, and we're getting some punches. But you've got Liam Neeson. He's Qui-Gon. He's done Taken. He's done Rob Roy.
He hadn't done Taken yet.
He hadn't done it yet, but he's that level of character and choreography that he could do these fight scenes.
Dude, those movies are so heavily edited.
I don't think Christian Bale could do. Well, yeah, but I just don't think they have the choreography in this to be that level yet to have those wide shots on Batman.
I do have some notes on that one I want to get to, but
I think there's a couple things going on there. One, what is this? 2005? Like
2005, yeah.
That was a little bit the style as well.
Yeah.
The era of shaky cam almost.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shaky cam in there.
2, I think, because you don't see that as much in the next 2 Batman films. You see a lot of the wide shots in the fight scenes. And part of it might be maybe Christian Bale just got better at combat. Maybe Christopher Nolan got better at filming combat. Maybe shaky cam era was over. But also, I think it's to kind of show like he's still a inexperienced Batman, and he's more using like his raw rage. And Ra's al Ghul comments on that a couple times of like how he's not. I guess he's not as trained as he could be, and he makes some goofs and does some stupid stuff, and he gets wrecked a couple times.
Some of this might be the suit too. I mean, that's something that gets addressed in the next movie as well. That the suit is not very agile, right? He can't move a ton in there. Can't even turn his head.
Can we talk about the suit? Is this a good time to talk about the suit?
We could talk about the suit now. Do you want to jump to the suit?
I don't like the suit. Of the 3, like, I'd say good Batman movies, I'm gonna leave out Liam Neeson and George Clooney's.
Val Kilmer, you mean?
What did I say?
Talking about? You said Liam Neeson.
You meant Val Kilmer.
Oh, I meant Val Kilmer. I'm sorry.
Rest
so
in
Val
peace,
Kilmer
Val
and
Kilmer.
George Clooney.
Yeah.
I thought this suit was not great. There wasn't a big focus on the suit. It's very, very black, so it's hard to see, which I think is probably fitting. I think that was what they were going for. Mm-hmm. But in the instances where you do see it, it's just, I don't think it looks good. It looks weird and clunky, and it doesn't really bend with him very well. But you really have to look for it. In other movies, the suit is on display. This one is.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not. This suit, I don't think is that great. It's just the cave jump. What is it? The spelunking, cliff jumping crowd.
Base jumping. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think. I think. Yeah. Of the suit as a character, I think his suit is meant to be toned down and everything, and not quite as flashy and developed. Like, especially because even the cowls that they did, they were breakable in the beginning. Like, I think it showed them making mistakes along the way, which allows you to step back and say, okay, Batman's not about gadget. He's not in the gadget guy yet. And then at the end, all of a sudden, he's got these magnetic clips and doing these things with his belt, and he's kind of stepped it up. But still, it is no Batflick suit. It is not that level.
Hey, Cord, do you like that movie?
Craig and I had that discussion earlier. I think the Batfleck suit is the best one.
I think there's a place for both of these Batmen. I think these two are the best 2 Batmen that I have seen. I'm even going to throw Keaton out the bus and say no, Keaton.
Oh, no. That's horrible.
Keaton's just fun nostalgia. Bale's and Batfleck are two.
There's something
the top
about him,
two.
though.
I'm gonna go Batfleck number 1. Keaton number 2. I think Keaton's Batman, especially because he reprises it in The Flash, which was a trash movie, but Keaton was amazing.
I like that.
Over Bale?
He is great. He's great in that.
Over Bale. I think Christian Bale does a really, really good job of Bruce Wayne.
I like
the other
Bruce Wayne a lot.
Waynes, The other Bruce Waynes just seem like Batman. They seem like who he really is. This Bruce Wayne seems like an act, and I think that's who Bruce Wayne should be. He is an act.
Yeah, I want to touch on that again a little bit later on. I do want us to transition back into a little bit more of our regular protocol, though. So let's talk about the sound, the special effects sounds, the music, which I have a ton of notes on, vocal sounds. What do you guys want to talk about first?
I'm going to talk about this tumbler. Can we just say that this tumbler...
Freaking
because
love that
here's
sound.
the other part. For effects, right? This tumbler was really built. This is not... They did a practical effect here. Which,
you're not buying that off the lot, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is rare. That right? We were going still for a practical effect with this when CGI was taken off. 2 years later, they're making Iron Man, and it's mostly CGI, right? So it was there. But they stayed with this tumbler for practical effects, and there are some scenes you see it take a beating. But it has this unique roar, and then to still keep the little fire thing in the back as an actual workable thing, and not just some knockoff. Ooh, the fire! Ooh, I get turbo! Right? Like it was so much better than what the original Batmobile had, but to still keep that fire in there. So I thought it was that tumbler sounded.
When you say
unique.
original, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Even in the Keaton Batman, the Batmobile with the fire thing in the back, the little turbo engine didn't do much. It was cool, but it wasn't functional. This was a functional one. Like it forced the jump.
Because of Keaton, when I lock my car to this day, I say shields and boop, boop.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know. That's still so cool.
No, but the growl of the tumbler is just epic, especially when he throttles up and throttles down with it. And Commissioner Gordon does it too. You still get that. Yep. Just a gravelly sound. So
I had that too.
It's my least favorite Batmobile.
But you like the sound though, right?
I love the Batmobile. It's just my least favorite. Like they're all good, but this was my least.
You hear it great when Lucius Fox tells him to power down. And then he says, "Does it come in black?" Like that scene right there. You really hear the sound of the tumbler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin, what about you? What's some things that you noticed sound-wise?
I noticed that this is my least favorite Batmobile. Just kidding. Okay, so I feel like I got a lot for the soundtrack this time. I normally don't. But the soundtrack is so good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very recognizable and iconic, and I'm excited for the next Batman movie because we get more like the Joker and the Batman theme intertwined, but I'm jumping ahead here.
Yes.
So in nowhere did this like theme sound heroic. It just kind of sounded like it was coming for you, like it created like suspense, or like it was lurking in the shadows the way Batman would lurk in the shadows, and you're almost like waiting for the climactic moment of the score to happen, and you're like, when's it gonna happen, and it doesn't. It does eventually, but not when you think it's going to, and it just keeps you on the edge of your seat out of like anticipation the entire time. And I don't think we have the rights to like play some of this stuff, and I wish we did, but just like go listen to the score at some point.
It's so good. Yeah. I'd forgotten how good it is.
And there's a lot of it is just like 2 or 3 notes. I'm not super good with orchestrals and stuff, but it's not doing a whole lot, but they do a whole lot with very little. It's very basic.
100% agree. Like there's like a 2-note motif. It's like, Jaws supposedly doesn't have a whole lot going on, like John Williams, right? But it does, that 2-note. But there's like a Batman kind of thing. There's a motif there that does that. Like there's a 2-note motif that does that. And this is the part where I have to mention, because I always go, oh, it's Hans Zimmer. And yes, it is Hans Zimmer, but it's also James Newton Howard. Like they work together on this. And I don't think James Newton Howard gets nearly the credit that he deserves for this score.
What else does he do?
Oh, shoot. James Newton Howard, man, he's done over 100 films. So like The Fugitive, the Fantastic Beast films, almost everything M. Night's ever done. He's currently doing like all the Hunger Games movies, just tons of different stuff. But he does most of the like.
You always hear Hans Zimmer in this.
You do. But I think it's because it's the action sequences that are Hans Zimmer, and it's more the dramatic stuff that's James Newton Howard. That's the way it supposedly broke down. And so those maybe aren't as memorable, but there are some soft stuff that I kind of would think about, like when he's thinking about his parents and stuff like that, that there's a little bit more melancholy things that go with that. But the thing that I remember hearing about this, and this movie's 20 years old, which is ridiculous because it absolutely holds up, that I don't know if you guys remember this or if you'd heard this, but the soundtrack, the titles of all of the tracks are taken from the scientific names for different genuses of bats. So like the main track is that you hear it's called Molossus. That's the main action theme. That's you first hear that when the tumbler escapes from the Narrows. But what's also cool is if you're looking down the titles of the tracks, 4 through 9 are an acrostic, which as an English teacher I love that. And they actually the names like, so it's like Barbastella, Artibus, and it spells Batman. So I love the attention to detail on that. But like they all build off of each other, so it's just a freaking great score.
And how many people are like the amount of work it must have taken to like do that, and how many people are going to notice that?
Yeah, that's just nuts. Yeah, so I won't go into deep. Like it's easy to find if you want to look at all that, but I enjoyed the snot out of that was a thing. I'd forgotten, like, oh, Molossus, what is that? I had to look that up. That was the main track that I was like, oh, that's the one that I remember. That's the main song. But just some other things that I had, like I love how like the bat screeching is kind of an editing bridge where we hear like different when like the flashbacks happen, like it takes them back to reality. I think that's pretty cool. And then I really liked the for vocal sounds, there's some voiceover transitions, like when Ducard says, "Do you still feel responsible for your parents' death?" Like that takes him back into the present. So little stuff like that as editing bridges. I think that's really cool. Oh, and I think my last one I had was just that we see Bruce kind of hanging out with criminals, trying to like understand the criminal mind.
Yes.
And then it's being narrated the whole time.
Yes.
I love that sequence so much. He's like, I'm not a thief. And he's like, I'll tell the guy who owned this. And they show the crate, and it's like Wayne Enterprises.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
I mean, that's the part. Yeah, they do a great job with that. The other thing I think for sound, I also had, this is where I think Christian Bale, I don't remember any of the other ones doing this in Clooney, Kilmer, Keaton, but the gravelly Batman voice, which has now become standard. The dark, I'm Batman, you are to be, like just this real gravelly, you'll never have to. Just that voice. I got to modify my voice so people don't know it's, hey, my gosh, you sound just like Bruce Wayne, And so
Keaton kind of whispered a little bit, but Bale makes a choice here that, and we'll have to talk about it when we get to The Dark Knight. Like he ramps it up dramatically. Like it's starting here, and the dude commits to it. By the time we get to Dark Knight Rises, man, he's
a little much, in my opinion. Like it's fine in short bursts, but anytime he has to have extended dialogue, like when he talks with Rachel, it's not about who you are, it's what you do. That it's like this is
more than one sentence.
Weird,
it's not rough.
But then here's the thing:
my colon.
Contrast him with Ra's al Ghul. Like Ra's al Ghul is like the same even kill in his whole thing. Even when he's fighting, he makes his vocal sounds the same even kill. He is Qui-Gon. The only thing he didn't say in this was your focus determines your reality.
Which he could have. That would have
fit. Which he could have. It would have fit. In all the wisdom that he threw out, which was straight
he's
Qui-Gon.
So good in this movie. Oh.
It was like, and you can't even disagree with some of his things, because like I looked at it and I was going, some of his quotes, when we get to quotes, I'm like, okay, he's actually right. I agree with him.
Yes.
He's got a lot of good one-liners.
He is training Bruce, fighting swords, doing all this in battle, and then even at the end in battle, and he's just Ra's al Ghul, very calm and collected, and does his Qui-Gon voice the whole time. Mm-hmm. Absolutely smashes it.
Oh,
like,
you love him in this so much.
To do that as a vocal sound for a character is incredible.
Yeah. Well, let's go. We're already starting to talk about performances a little bit, so let's transition down there. And this is the part where I have to say that this cast is absolutely ridiculous, except for Katie Holmes.
Yes,
like literally, it's like.
But somehow it gets worse in the next one.
That's Yeah, I don't get it. No, really,
Listen,
it's like
when they
amazing
recast-
actors, so good.
When they recast Rachel Dawes with what's her face, like I'm just gonna say it. I hate her
Gyllenhaal.
more than I hate
Maggie
Beth
Gyllenhaal.
from Yellowstone. I hate
Oh,
her
well.
so much.
Beth from Yellowstone would have been
Okay.
good in this.
We'll get there. Beth
So
from Yellowstone.
lines, dialogue quotes. You only get two,
so I
Corey.
Go to
I
Justin.
got one. So Ra's al Ghul, after he starts burning down Wayne Manor and Bruce falls and the beam falls on him, he says, "Justice is balance. You burned my house down and left me for dead. Consider us even."
Oh man.
And there's so much that is like incredibly telling about that line in the way it characterizes Roz, because he sees this as balance. And then he said, "And you left me for dead." He didn't leave you for dead. He saved your life and made sure you were safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like he put you in a safe spot. And then not only that is, he's all about justice and balance and how things are fair. Once he leaves the house, he tells his men, if anyone comes out, kill him. Like,
Yeah.
he's cheating. He's putting his finger on the scale of justice.
Yes.
This guy is committed to the bit, but only so far as it helps him and his purpose. But the subtlety of that, it just makes me so happy, because I really like the character of Ra's al Ghul, like through the comics, and
Oh, yeah.
Liam Neeson freaking nails it. And like we said, so many good one-liners from this guy, so many good ones. But yeah, that one I thought was just so like, oh man, you are showing your hand here.
Well, he is. I mean, gosh, Liam Neeson's good in anything. I swear.
Come on, Corey. Give me one.
All right, I'm gonna go. I got two things that Liam Neeson says besides him like just hammering Bruce Wayne on his father's failures, which he was right on.
Oh, so good.
When he makes the comment, "When a forest grows too wild, a purging fire is inevitable and natural," and I look at it, and then he says, "Training is nothing, will is everything." And so I feel like Ra's al Ghul several times throughout the movie makes these comments where you go. And then he talks about even one point where vengeance, criminals take advantage of society's
Wow, that's
empathy.
my line.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry. And my
No.
point was to say Ra's al Ghul, like quoting dialogue-wise, Ra's al Ghul is actually right in several things that you go, yeah, that's why Gotham is a slum. That's why our world has some slum in it, because we have a lot of these things that we have just let go, and he's not wrong on some of these things. Now, what he wants to do is wrong, but he's right in that things are growing too wild, and we're letting people take advantage, like some of that. And so you go, and I think that's why there's a lot of truth in what he says from a certain point of view.
Yes.
Corey,
Back to Obi-Wan.
I feel like you might kind of like understand this one too. I've never actually seen you teach, but you've seen me teach, and
Yes.
you've commented that similar style sometimes. But I feel that way in my classroom. Like at the beginning of the year, I have a fair amount of trust, and like I have an understanding with the students. And every once in a while, a purging fire is required, because I trust that the students are going to make the right choices, and then it gets out of hand, and then like Mr. Eldon's got to quote unquote crash out,
Yeah.
bring it back to
Exactly.
stage center, and it's like I'm trying to like give you some like ground to work with, but we got to have that purging fire. We got to release the rats into the city and start the plague. We have to
I think
economically
that's what you
destroy the
say.
children.
You actually are right. You think you use that from now on. It's time for the purging fire.
Purging fire, children.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm gonna quote the line word for word that I love it so much. Where we just love Ra's al Ghul so much in this. He says, "Criminals thrive on the indulgence of society's understanding."
That's what it is.
And you know who else does? Naughty students.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Let's relate this back to our jobs, people.
Yeah, for those of us
let's
joining
do
us for
some
the
let's
first
do
time,
some
we're all
restorative
teachers.
justice. No,
And it's the end of the
Sometimes
school year,
there
and
has
we're a
to
little
be
spicy right now.
Yeah, there's got to be a hard and fast. No, you've had enough chances. It's over.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
But
he's right.
Mister, that's not fair. No, it's not fair to continue to let you act out in this way. That would be unfair.
Yes, it is late May. Justin, do you have another line?
Sorry, we could. We could do this all day. We should have another podcast where we just vent. So the other line was when, and it's repeated a couple times, and I think it's kind of a theme of the film, is when young Bruce falls, and then Thomas Wayne says to him, "And why do we fall, Bruce? So we can learn to pick ourselves up." I just think that's really great, and I say that to my kids sometimes, ironically, a lot.
Yeah.
I said to them when they're grown up all the time. Go ahead.
What's that?
I said the same thing. I say it to my kids all the time when they fell when they were little.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, I guess like figuratively and in other ways. Like when I'm, when we're training for bike training. I just think that's a good thing to live by. Like to see to wrap failure in that way. Like failure is not a failure. Failure is an opportunity to like grow and learn and go beyond. I really like that.
Now, Alfred says it to him later, and I'm going to tie into my next quote. I'm going to bring in Alfred because not that quote, but I'm going to bring in a different one. What is the point of doing all those bloody push-ups if you can't even lift a log? And
give him that look.
At the moment where Bruce Wayne looks at him like, "What the hell, Alfred?" And it's just, and Alfred has so many good lines about, okay, you can take the rolls, but make sure you bring it back with gas. Just there's some wonderfulness about Alfred and Bruce's relationship in this that I think is just beautiful. And it's a shame they always make Alfred so old, because then you think if you do anything with this character long term, there's going to be a point where whoever played Alfred has to age out of it, and you have to recast it. Because, I mean, Michael Caine's just too old to come back to this. I mean, not that they would come back to Christian Bale as Batman, but Michael Caine's too old for it. Like, I think the way they did Batflick with Jeremy Ironside was so much better. The age
Jeremy Irons is amazing,
was closer to where it would fit. But Alfred in this is his own character. There's humor, there's wit, and there's so much passion and love. Even when he says, "You haven't given up on me yet," and he says, "Never." Like Alfred as a character is so lovable in this one. So there you go. Do some push-ups.
Best Alfred of all the Batmans?
No. Jeremy Irons.
I think Michael Caine. I do.
Yeah,
he's
so too.
He's so freaking charming.
Okay. Yes. He's
and
that.
There's a lot more in the next one too. Like when we get to like talking about the thief in Burma and all the things. Like, yeah, and there's humor in that movie. Like that movie's so heavy, and there's levity. We'll get to that. I don't want to.
Yeah, you're right.
Yet,
Alfred.
It's hard to do these movies independently of one another.
He wasn't even the first choice, which is also Anthony Hopkins was, but he turned it down. I do want to talk about some of those things. But I think he would have been fantastic, but I like Michael Caine in this a lot.
Michael Caine's wonderful.
So we talked about a lot of the lines that I would have already said that we've kind of made fun of, like "it's not who I am" underneath, that. But I think that's important. And then, you don't have to say thank you. But one I'm going to point out is, because I think thematically it's really important, when Thomas Wayne dies, his last words to Bruce are, "Don't be afraid." Which, I mean, that's the fear is one of the massive themes of this movie. And for that to have been his legacy to his son, to impart that, don't be afraid. Like, you could have said any number of things. Could have said, "I love you. It's going to be okay." No, just don't be afraid.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think throughout this movie, one of the things with the dialogue, since we're talking about dialogue, is that Nolan does a great job. Whoever wrote this, did he write it?
So Nolan wrote it. The only one he didn't write was Insomnia. But this is also David Goyer, who we've seen lots. David Goyer is the one who wrote the Blade trilogy and wrote Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. So, he wrote some of the things we don't like, but he wrote those things that we do.
The thing that stood out to me was how many times in the very beginning we use the word fear in this movie. I don't even know. I wanted to at some point find a way to, maybe I should have had AI do it. Count how many times they said the word fear, vengeance, justice, and those things, because what they did was they kept throwing these words in in the backstory, in the present time, into the Batman, into Alfred. Like the word fear kept coming up, and then but also justice kept coming up, and some vengeance sometime, and then little lines like even Lucius Fox at the end. Didn't you get the memo? That line was actually said twice. And then when he says, it's not who I am underneath, Rachel says it, he says it. There's a lot of repetition of these lines. And I just saw this magician do this trick where he got people to say things he wanted to. And he explained the trick was that he always filled them with these words ahead of time before the show. So that when they got into the show and he used them, he already knew what words they were going to say subliminally. They were going to say elephant because he had already put that in their head along the way. Yeah. And I feel like Christopher Nolan does that with a lot of this dialogue. Is that the lines, some of these lines are repeated just 2, 3, 4 times in the movie. And it's a way of getting you to really fall in the psychological part of the character and build up. Like, I'm training you to understand him as a character. So
I got you here, Corey. So I pulled up the script and I did a Control F. Fear or feared or fearful shows up 26 times in the movie. Justice, 14 times.
Oh. Vengeance?
What was another? Vengeance. 5 times.
See?
Yeah. Vengeance or avenge, yeah.
Okay.
Huh. Okay. So fear is a big one.
Yeah, that's why you have Scarecrow as a villain. So I want to keep this moving because we're running just a little bit long tonight. Some body language, facial expressions. Trying to see if we have anything that I want to talk about we didn't quite talk about. Oh, there is the fight choreography. Like, I know we kind of bagged on it a little bit with the camera work, but there is they were trained in what's called it's the KC fighting method. It's a Spanish martial art, so that like they spent time doing the choreography for it. We just didn't really see it that much. The one thing I wanted to talk about too, just because we'll get a call back for it in Dark Knight Rises, where James Gordon puts his coat around young Bruce.
I saw that. That's
a pretty important thing for later on. In hindsight, looking at costumes, hair, and makeup, Ducard's facial hair should have been a dead giveaway if you knew the character. Ross, how cool! Like, I love that. Like, it's subtle enough where you don't necessarily have to make that connection, but then when they give it to you, you're like, of course it's him. And the last thing I'm just going to put here is, like, we talked about the suit a little bit and how much we don't really care for it, but what I love about this, again, Nolan with the slow burn, it's over an hour before we see Batman in the suit in a Batman movie.
Yeah.
Just kind of remarkable.
I love origin stories.
But I feel like the first hour of that film, like, so I actually like this one more than the second one. This is really, in my opinion, the superior film. Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
It's a tough opinion, but it's because of Ra's al Ghul. And
he's so good. Yeah.
His philosophy, and you can see how it bleeds into Batman, yet Batman changes it. Like I want to do this when we were talking about dialogue and quotes, but his whole idea of like how he wants to become more than a man, he wants to become a symbol. I love that. I love that so much. Like, because you can't corrupt a symbol. You can corrupt a man. You can change a man. I mean, you see that in like politics all the live long day, right? Like you see the second somebody steps up to the plate politically, they get destroyed because of who they are. But if somehow they weren't a person and they were an idea, you can't destroy that. You can't destroy an idea like you can a person.
Which he pays that off later on. So that's a consistent theme. He doesn't just, that's not just lip service. That's a thing that we see all the way through the next film and then in the third film.
Yep. It's beautiful.
Justin, you'll like this. Did you know that as far as the setting design, that he used Blade Runner as an inspiration and showed people Blade Runner?
I
Rutger Hauer?
Know that.
Yes, Rutger Hauer, who is, of course, in this movie as well. Yeah.
And did you know Blade Runner 2049 used this as inspiration?
The circle is now complete.
I didn't see that one.
The circle is now complete.
I did not know that, but that's amazing. I got the name of the glacier for you, Corey.
Yes.
I'm going to try and say it. Vatnajökull.
Vatnajökull.
In Iceland. Yep, the same one in Interstellar, standing in for Bhutan. We do have a lot of exteriors in London. We have New York, and Chicago is mainly the main thing that stands in for Gotham, which some people love, some people hate. I think it's cool. I'm fine with it.
For the bridges, they had to do Chicago because that's the Chicago bridges
like
that all
over
went
the
up.
river and stuff. That's really obvious. We'll see that very obviously in The Dark Knight as well. But
I wonder how people that live in Chicago that have seen this Chicago, man. Yeah. Sorry, New Girl. I wonder if people that live in Chicago like hate that about this movie. I feel like that would really take them out of
Like Gotham's
that
trash, Chicago's
of
trash.
the film.
I don't know.
I just
Yeah, I can
couldn't
see that
imagine
going
it
either
as
way.
like a
You could
place
go that way.
if I lived there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chicago. I'm going to say the set. One of the other sets that we're not talking about is the Batcave, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I mean, it is raw and unfinished and developing in this, and it's great. I think this is kind of a character on its own,
Sure.
and especially at the end when they blow up this whole mansion, and he's like, "I figured the southeast corner, sir, build the foundations."
Yeah.
Like in the next movie, the Batcave is a little further, a little depth. It is better. And
Well, we don't even see it in the next movie, do we?
do we? I thought we did.
No, that's
I'm
the one where he
thinking of-
just has like
sorry.
the underground
In
place.
Rises, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Bruce
I
Wayne's.
love that
Batfleck's
the Batcave is so unfinished that every time he has to like ride to the tumbler, he has to like fluff out his cape and like fly down to it. Like he doesn't even have a stairway.
Well, and it goes into like the whole real world thing again, where like it's part of the Underground Railroad. Like there's a reason that elevator works. That because you would not be like, again, you're gonna hire outside contractors to do that. Like you're Batman. How are you gonna do? I mean, they do that in the comics. They kind of explain that he's got a guy who does the Batmobile and those kind of things. But I like that was already. Yeah, he does. He's got a guy for everything. But I like how that's kind of already set up. Some of it's already set up for you in a believable way.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, that's super convenient, so the movie can happen. Like, I'm there.
I want to know where all the light in that Batcave comes from, because when he's going through spelunking, he has the one little lamp.
Yeah.
But like the background is all lit up, and it's like, nah, that thing would
You know,
be super
you know
dark.
how much disease he's gonna have with all those bats pooping everywhere?
Yeah,
Guano
that's a
everywhere.
problem.
Guano.
No, I can see perfectly fine from here, sir. Anything else prop wise we want to talk about? We talked about quite a bit. I mean, I know people have
like
said the microwave emitter doesn't work scientifically. I don't care. It works for me.
Yeah, can we just talk about the huge plot hole there of nobody in Gotham could have like boiled a pot of water or taken a shower for weeks? Otherwise, they would have like injected themselves with that fear gas.
That's true.
Because if it has to be through
I
the
didn't
lungs,
think of that.
That's true. They boil
Nobody
anything.
boiled
Yeah.
eggs.
That's a
Nope.
good point, Justin.
Pe-
Good
people
call.
just aren't showering. I guess like that place stinks.
People are freaking out for months.
Or maybe the water main and the shower are like two separate pipes or something. I don't know. No, I wanted to talk in terms of props. I think all of Batman's gear and gadget, utility belt, and all that stuff, it looked like it had weight to it. You know how sometimes with props,
Yes.
people will pick stuff up and you're like, that looks fake.
No, it looked heavy.
hefty. And
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
What does
Yeah.
it say in Jurassic Park? Is it heavy? Yes. Then put it away. It's probably expensive.
It's probably
The goggles.
expensive.
Love it so much. Let's see. Characters. Christian Bale, I think, is fantastic. The list of people that could have played Bruce Wayne is long. I'm not going to talk about them all, but I will mention that Henry Cavill auditioned for this.
Oh,
I'm glad he didn't get it.
he
Me
was
too.
a fantastic Superman. The best, actually.
Yep.
He's fantastic. I will say on a couple other ones that are kind of interesting is that Heath Ledger and Cillian Murphy both auditioned for
I saw the
Batman.
Cillian Murphy one. It is not.
Yeah.
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 Can we talk about Cillian Murphy just for a little bit? Because he's in all three of these films.
Yes.
And I feel like he's fantastic as Scarecrow.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love him.
100%.
And he's just in there hardly at all. Like, I wanted more of him, if I'm being
He
honest.
gets written off way too easy. I watched this with Luke the last 30 minutes last night, and Luke even said, "Isn't that the villain?" And he gets tasered right there and then goes running off. And Luke even says, "Does he come back later?" And I say, "No, this is the last we see of him until the next movie." And he goes,
But even in the next movie,
he goes, "How could you be a
he's
villain and
taken
be
out
such
quick.
an idiot?" He just gets taken out by a
he's a minor role.
taser. And it wasn't a big ending with him.
I'm okay with that, though, because
Yeah.
he doesn't have any martial arts training or anything like that.
No, he's just a psycho with
And Ducard's
Gas.
the man, like, that he has to, or Ra's al Ghul,
like
rather.
I'm okay with how he gets taken out here, but in the next two films, they do him dirty.
He's barely in the second one, but I love that. Well, I don't want to talk too much about that because we'll talk about when we talk about Dark Knight. But let's see, we talked about Michael Caine a little bit. Oh, I was going to say too, Christian Bale. So I had not seen American Psycho until recently, but when I watched American Psycho, I was like, that makes complete sense that Christian Bale could play Batman after that. Like sold
The
it.
Two-Face aspect of it.
Absolutely. Let's see. Liam Neeson is amazing. One thing that I loved about this when I did research is Gary Oldman at one point was up for that role. but couldn't do it.
I feel
And
like
so
he wouldn't have the height or the presence for that.
agreed. Guy Pearce also was up, but they said he thought they were they agreed he was too young. He's fantastic at that. Gary Oldman as James Gordon, which is like, this is the turn where we start to see Gary Oldman play good guys like this in Harry Potter. Playing Sirius Black right about the same time. Or we're so used to seeing him play a bad guy.
If credits didn't exist, no one would ever know that guy was in a movie.
He's so good.
Like he's completely different. He looks different in every film. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some things I always forget. Tom Wilkinson plays, why do they call him? Why is it Falcone? It's supposed to be Falcone. They changed. It's the one. That's another gripe. Like, it's Falcone, not Falcone. But big name actor Tom Wilkinson, who's great in The Patriot, one of our favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
Rutger Hauer, of course, as William Earl. And I always forget until I see the credits roll up that Morgan Freeman is in this movie. And he's so delightful in this movie.
Lucius Fox is beautiful in this movie. I love him. And you know what I love? It almost felt like Bruce had these two wonderful people in Alfred and Lucius Fox. And 100%. Then when they put them in the scene together at the end, and he says, "I'll see you again, Alfred." Like, you knew they were already together. They were already, and it was like, together. It was such a merging of two wonderful characters that I was like, oh, he's got Lucius on one side and he's got Alfred on the other.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a little bit of issue with Lucius. Because, there's different aspects to Batman, and I feel like every iteration of Batman, we get a different side of his character. Robert Pattinson, we get the detective side. This version, we get, like, the martial arts side. And then Ben Affleck, we get, like, the angry side.
Gritty vengeance.
Brawler.
Yeah, and this version, Christian Bale's version, gets the detective intelligence side removed from him and given to the character of Lucius Fox. Lucius Fox does all the thinking for him. You don't see Batman's intelligence because
not in this movie.
Fox.
No, not
we see a lot more in the next movie. We see a lot more.
Yeah, but
not in this movie.
I still just Lucius, I think, has too big of a role, and I don't like it, but that's personal.
There are no small roles for Morgan Freeman.
Just small actors. A couple others. Ken Watanabe as
great.
The decoy Ra's al Ghul is fantastic in a very small role. We get Mark Boone Jr. back from Memento as Arnold Flass. But did you guys know there's another actor from Memento in this movie as well? Did you catch him?
Was it?
Yes, there was. I gotta look
Richard
now.
Brake? No, was he in there? I'm not sure.
Oh, the guy who plays Flass, Mark Boone Jr.
Yeah, Mark Boone Jr. And the other one is Larry Holden, who plays the district attorney Carl Finch, Katie Holmes' boss. That's Jimmy Grant's.
Oh, it is. Yes.
Yeah, without the mustache, the handlebar mustache. Rest in peace.
Nolan
he died.
Pulls a lot
cancer.
of repeat characters.
Well, yeah, you can see that a lot. Cillian Murphy.
Yeah,
isn't everything.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah,
they both come back in Oppenheimer.
I was struck by that when they had like one scene together, and I was like, he's going to play Oppenheimer. He's going to play the president, and that's going to happen.
Yeah,
much farther down the line. Let's see. Hero's Journey. Yes. Although the mentor thing is a nice twist.
He has to kill the mentor. Well, he doesn't. And he kill him
and reject. No. Can we talk about that for half of a second? As much as he says, "I'm not going to kill him," he murdered a ton of guys in Ra's al Ghul's house.
That's ridiculous. Well, also,
I don't have.
They're just sleeping. I'm not going to save you. That's killing. That's killing.
He did kill all those guys.
That's like the freaking trolley problem. It's like I'm not going to put on my brakes, but I'm not going to step off the gas, and I'm going to run over a crowd of people. It's
So he killed people before Batfleck killed people, right?
Right? Why?
Yeah, but not every iteration of Batman has that rule. That is like something
Michael
made up by the
Keaton killed people. He blew that one big guy up with the bomb.
I know. Christopher Reeve killed
parts
people.
everywhere.
He killed General Zod.
Yeah, and he didn't even think twice about it.
No, crushed his hand and threw him down a chasm. But yeah, we talked about this too, and Justin, I love that you brought this up. And then they talk about this directly. They call it out at the end of the film that Batman is the true persona. Bruce is the mask.
Yes, they bring that up at the end.
Which I really want to revisit that when we get to Dark Knight Rises and the 8-year gap. because that's a thing a lot of people have struggled with. It's a little early to talk about that, but like I want to kind of keep that in mind. If that's really true, then why does it go the way it goes? So,
yeah, that third movie, things fall apart a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I still love it, but
yeah,
I think
it's good. It's just
a lot to like with it.
It's the weakest.
I would agree. As far as world building, we talked about this before. It basically feels like our world, very, very grounded, as if Batman could really happen. That's kind of the thing that happens with Man of Steel too. It's like, what would happen if Superman was real? What would happen if Batman was real? This is how that would go.
Yeah.
But again, now we don't have him in the Justice League. You have Superman and Batman in consecutive years, and you don't put them in the same movie together.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though Christian Bale's Batman being in the Justice League? It would not work.
I think you could make it work.
He's not smart enough.
Yeah, like he's outclassed so much.
Yeah.
Like Batfleck, that's a Justice League Batman.
Yes. Now you're talking.
Corey's very excited about that.
I'm so excited.
Okay.
I'm going to agree with Corey on that one. Batfleck's amazing.
I 100% agree. We should have got a whole slew of those movies. Okay, so final thoughts on Batman Begins. Corey, I'm going to start with you.
All right. Listen, I think final thoughts on Batman Begins. I think you have to look at this. This is a great movie. It's a reboot. This is what brings the Batman genre back from the grave that it was put in because of Bat Nipples and the Bat credit card. And I think this is the movie that kind of brought this whole grittiness back. I think when you look at it, to me, Christian Bale is the one. Everybody loves Bale's Batman, and I think it's a solid one. It's a solid one. This psychological, which to me leads itself to say I appreciate Ben Affleck's Batman, because I'm just going to do a quick comparison for my final thought. Christian Bale is the early from fear to hope Batman, and Ben Affleck is the later from hopelessness to redemption Batman, the 20 years later. Ooh. This is you put those two on contrast. They're not which one's better than the other. They're two different time periods of the same character.
True.
So that's how I view it. And I say, Christian Bale, I got room for you in my heart, and Batfleck, I got room for you in my heart, because you're both two different ends, you're bookends of who this character is going to be. And so for me, they both work. I slapped the table. I'm just telling you, I love it. Ben Affleck, yes, we should have gotten way more movies with him. But I think these two can go together.
Is it strange we haven't really talked about Robert Pattinson this whole time?
Robert,
I feel like that movie's forgotten. I mean, I like.
I mean,
movie,
we're not really talking about the Batman.
Is he the Batman that sparkles? Is that what happens in the?
That's the sparkly Batman. Yeah.
What about this film, Justin? What are your final thoughts on this particular film?
Hey, let me get in the weeds. I can get in the weeds. I feel like I've said like a lot of what I want to say. Like, I think it's a solid movie. It has some fantastic themes that when thought about, you kind of get the goosebumps, and you feel warm fuzzies just in terms of where the character of Batman, he's a frightening character, but he is there to serve a purpose. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in a lot of ways Christian Bale does that. Like, there's really no Katie Holmes maybe, but there's not like a weak spot of this movie. And I don't even think Katie Holmes was all that bad. It like Christopher Nolan knocks it out of the park. And to think that this was like his third theatrical film, like, that's amazing. Like the fact that he can do that, and this movie came out, and it's not even like a cult classic. Like, it was loved at the time, and it's been loved for the past freaking 20 years. And the fact that, like you said earlier, this movie is aged so well. There is nothing in this movie that dates it. It could come out today, and I don't think anyone would think twice. Like, it's very timeless in a lot of ways. I'm trying to think. Maybe there's like a cell phone or something.
Yeah, that's literally the only thing that. Yeah.
Yeah, because even. Yeah, it's just, it does a fantastic job. I think we're probably going to see this theme a lot through Christopher Nolan's films. His restraint on the use of CGI and like practical effects gives a really nice, timeless feeling to his movies. And the fact that he can take a superhero film, which in the past I think was purely built on spectacle, not purely, mostly built on spectacle, and then make it into a character-driven movie that tells an interesting story. You could take the Batman aspect out of this movie and it would still be a fantastic movie. You could have just had him be some vigilante. You don't need the member berries. You don't need the Batman IP to make this work in any way. And I think that is a huge accomplishment. Like, Nolan's directorial style overshadows the character itself, which is good, I think, in this case.
Yeah.
I love Christopher Nolan.
Yeah,
so good.
Yes, it's so many good things. The last thing, it just the way I want to say this is the thing that I've missed with superhero movies. I mentioned the last time we did this that I recently rewatched Iron Man and was struck by how earnest that movie was. I mean, that comes from this as well, because this predates that by 3 years. That superhero movies have been so pithy and so jokey and so tongue-in-cheek for so long that we've forgotten what an earnest superhero movie looks like. This movie's very serious, takes itself seriously, but it also has plenty of levity in it. But that last, and we kind of joked about it, but that last line where Gordon says, "I never said thank you," and he, with complete sincerity, looks back at him and says, "And you'll never have to."
And you'll never have to. Yes.
I'm getting chills at that, because like he's absolutely willing to put himself out there for nothing. Like I'm going to do the right thing because it's the right thing.
Which leads to the ending of the second one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, love that too. Like you said, this movie, if anything, has gotten better with age. It's never left the public consciousness. It's just a great, great film.
Every Batman movie will be compared to this one for a long time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Only because Batfleck never got his own.
I agree. I agree.
No, I would have loved to have seen a Batfleck solo movie. And on that note, we're going to get out of here. And we just want to say thank you so much for listening. If you want to connect with us, you can find us on X, Instagram, and Facebook. Email us at readingbetweenreels@gmail.com or use the SpeakPipe app on our website. If you enjoy the show, please like, follow, subscribe, and be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. This helps the show tremendously and absolutely helps us reach more people. And one last thing, our next episode will be a review of The Prestige. Send us an email or voicemail about your favorite moments from The Prestige, and we'll share it on the next episode.